How's it going, you sexy beasts? It's that time of the week again. Finally done with the week's work, getting off of school, or just chilling around in your boxers. It's Friday. That means it's time for another episode of the Fan-Picked Friday Challenge, the series where you, in all your boxer brief glory, suggest setups containing weapons, attachment skills, or whatever else you can imagine, and see how well I can do with it. Last week's episode was the Crimson Guardian, created by H.P. McDougall, which featured the T1S Cycler Assault Rifle for the Terran Republic. If you would like to suggest a challenge for next week's episode, go ahead and leave a comment in the section below, and I'll choose one of the most upvoted comments for next week's Fan-Picked Friday Challenge. So for today's episode, it's actually a first for the series. This is the first time that a Vonu setup has made it through the filters, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Also, the gameplay I got for it was a pure extract of badassery. Having said that, today's challenge comes from Mango K in the form of the discount CQC Infiltrator. They state, you get what you pay for. Not faction specific, weapon is the Auto Scout Rifle, attachments are laser sight and silencer. Secondary is the default pistol without any attachments. Ability is the default cloak with no suit slot or utility items. Designed for low-level, free-to-play players to emulate the infamous SMG Infiltrator on a budget. The Auto Scout Rifle is the poor college student's SMG, and outfitting it with a laser sight and silencer is as close as you will get to one without laying down 1,000 certs. To be successful and avoid dying of frustration, pick your battles carefully and aim for the head. Hope you're a masochist. Thank you for your challenge, Mango K, and I'm sure by now you can tell that I'm quite a glutton for punishment, as seen in this series alone. Since this setup is slightly vague, I'll go ahead and flesh out everything that I've rocked in this video. I went with the Vonu Sovereignty Infiltrator and donned the Artemis fully automatic scout rifle. The new Conglomerate and Terran Republic versions of the Artemis are the Stalker and the SOAS TAC-20 respectively. The pistol is the very beautiful and majestic Beamer, and I had the normal cloaking. Now, a long time ago, I had tried both the semi and fully automatic scout rifles, and pretty much discovered that they were both trash. Now that I've come back around to trying the fully automatic scout rifles once more, I found that I kinda love them. Let's go ahead and undress these sexy ladies and see what the numbers we get under the hood. The Artemis deals 143 damage maximum up to 10 meters and falls off to 125 damage at 65 meters. It fires at 652 rounds per minute, has a very odd 24 round magazine, and a hefty 216 rounds in the reserve. Short reload speed with a charge still left in the battery is 2 seconds. Long reload speed with a completely empty battery is 2.64 seconds. Vertical recoil pulls upward at a rate of 0.3 degrees, has a 1.5 times first shot recoil multiplier, and a very slight rightward horizontal recoil bias. Muzzle velocity of rounds fired move at a rate of 500 meters per second. With the numbers out of the way, I'm sure you can tell that I'm a rather inexperienced Infiltrator player solely due to the amount of Infiltrator gameplay I have on my channel. Regardless, at first I found this rifle to be complete and utter garbage. I slowly regretted my decision of ever picking it, but then I found where its true beauty shines: its adaptability. I can't stand using submachine guns since their aim down sight accuracy is pretty much the same as their hipfire, and the very low bullet damage just makes hitting or killing anything past 20 meters a near impossibility. That's where the Artemis spreads its legs and flies. This thing can wreck people in close quarters and medium range as well with its very accurate aim down sight cone of fire. Add on to the fact that you're essentially holding an assault rifle with a smaller magazine, you're actually able to stand toe to toe with heavy assaults more effectively than you would with a submachine gun. I think that's where the beauty of this setup actually shines. It's not a super high skill ceiling weapon like the SASR or a CQC beast like the LA-39 Bruiser, but it's just a very good all-around weapon. It will clean house in close quarters with its respectable hipfire, and while aiming down sights, it will also pick off targets at medium ranges. As I've quickly come to realize with infiltrators, suppressors are a must-have when you're engaging targets in close quarters. None of these clips would have been possible if I had an unsuppressed Artemis, since people would just hunt me down in a heartbeat. To my surprise, I was actually able to hold a solid 4.0 kill-death ratio while messing around with this weapon. It would have been higher if I wasn't getting beaten around by tanks and random phalanx cannon shots, or being run over by teammates. Keep in mind that usually I kick it into super hardcore focus mode after I get about 3 consecutive kills, so I think my inner badass was starting to show. In other words, I was expecting to do absolutely 100% terribly with this rifle. Turns out I'm actually pretty good with it, and now it's going to be my go-to weapon while playing as an aggressive infiltrator. And as any aggressive infiltrator would say, playing dirty would be the name of the game while playing with the Artemis. She acts just like a standard submachine gun, but can also get you out of a medium-range crossfire bind rather well. I was able to transfer my SMG style of popping in and out of cloak. As any aggressive infiltrator would say, playing dirty is the name of the game. The Artemis acts just like a standard submachine gun, but can also get you out of a medium-range crossfire bind rather well. I was able to transfer the SMG style of popping in and out of cloak to take out targets in close quarters and adapt them to the range and damage of this scout rifle. After I had hammered it into my brain that I wasn't using a strictly close quarters designed weapon, I was able to pick my fights much more intelligently and thus more efficiently. Stalking along the outer edges of the battlements made this weapon really take off. As I moved behind cover, I was able to pick off stragglers with ease and sometimes even join in the fray of the entire enemy team and hose them down before they could even realize what was happening. That's the joy of a suppressor in combination with the infiltrator's cloak. You're able to infiltrate the lines of your opponents and cause utter mayhem amongst the ranks while still having the ability to escape easily. Despite not having any suits certifications equipped, it didn't really feel like I needed any. The Artemis is a very strong weapon on its own, and with its massive ammunition reserve, you won't be needing to bother engineers too often for ammo, or necessitate grabbing the ammunition belt. But as this is built as an aggressive infiltrator setup, some nano-weave armor or even an advanced shield capacitor would strengthen the setup as an actual concrete loadout to buckle down for the long run. You're toting a very competitive rifle that can hold its ground when engaged at close and medium ranges, while also having the ability to go freaking invisible. Once some nano-weave armor and medical kits are thrown into the mix, you're going to be one hell of an infiltrator to contend with. That's why I've enjoyed using the Artemis so very much. I was able to throw down 450 certifications and be a total badass nerd baller with all the other tryhards on a battle rank 15 newbie. If you guys were to try this out as a concrete loadout for the long run throughout the ages, I would highly recommend throwing a point of nano-weave armor, spending 50 certs for a medical kit, and another 30 certs on a 2x reflex for the Artemis, since its iron sights aren't too terribly bad, but they're also not that great either. The Beamer is a pretty awful secondary, and the Commissioner or Underboss pistols fill and round out the rest of the loadout. So there you have it, you sexy beasts. The Artemis Scout Rifle, available to any Von der Sovereignty infiltrator. Thank you so very much for your discount CQC infiltrator setup, Mr. Mango K. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's Fan-Picked Friday challenge, and if you did, please give it a big-ass thumbs up. What would you guys like to see in next week's episode? Go ahead and comment in the section below, covering any weapons, abilities, attachments, and anything else that may be applicable. Remember to upvote any other setups that you think are awesome or interesting, and I'll choose one of the most upvoted comments for next week's episode. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see more videos like these, then go ahead and subscribe. It's a whopping free 90 free.